Ponce is both a city and a municipality in the southern part of Puerto Rico. The city is the seat of the municipal government. Ponce, Puerto Rico's most populated city outside the San Juan metropolitan area, is named for Juan Ponce de León y Loaiza, the great-grandson of Spanish conquistador Juan Ponce de León. Ponce is often referred to as La Perla del Sur, La Ciudad Señorial, and La Ciudad de las Cuenipas. The city serves as the governmental seat of the autonomous municipality as well as the regional hub for various government of Puerto Rico entities, such as the Judiciary of Puerto Rico. It is also the regional center for various other Commonwealth and federal government agencies. The municipality of Ponce, officially the Autonomous Municipality of Ponce, is located in the southern coastal plain region of the island, south of Agintes, Utuado, and Jayuya, east of Peñuelas, west of Juana Diaz, and bordered on the south by the Caribbean Sea. The municipality has a total of 31 barrios, including 19 outside the city's urban area and 12 in the urban area of the city. The historic Ponce Pueblo district, located in the downtown area of the city, is shared by several of the downtown barrios, and is located approximately 3 miles inland from the shores of the Caribbean. Ponce is a principal city of both the Ponce Metropolitan Statistical Area and the Ponce-Yokohama Combined Statistical Area. The municipality of Ponce is the second largest in Puerto Rico by land area, and it was the first in Puerto Rico to obtain its autonomy, becoming the Autonomous Municipality of Ponce in 1992. History. Early settlers. The region of what is now Ponce belonged to the Taino Guaiana region, which stretched along the southern coast of Puerto Rico. Agibana, a cacique who led the region, was among those that greeted Spanish conquistador Juan Ponce de León when he came to the island in 1508. Archaeological findings have identified 4 sites within the municipality of Ponce with archaeological significance: Canis, Tibes, Caracoles, and El Bronze. During the first years of the colonization, Spanish families started settling around the Jacaguas River, in the south of the island. For security reasons, these families moved to the banks of the Rio Portugues, then called Baramaya. Starting around 1646, the whole area from the Rio Portugues to the Bay of Guainilla was called Ponce. In 1670, a small chapel was raised in the middle of the small settlement and dedicated in honor of Our Lady of Guadalupe. Among its earliest settlers were Juan Ponce de León y Loaiza, and the Portuguese Dom Pedro Rodrigues de Guzman, from nearby San German. On September 17, 1692, the King of Spain Carlos II issued a cedula real converting the chapel into a parish, and in so doing officially recognizing the small settlement as a hamlet. It is believed that Juan Ponce de León y Loaiza, Juan Ponce de León's great-grandson, was instrumental in obtaining the royal permit to formalize the founding of the hamlet. Captains Enrique Salazar and Miguel del Toro were also instrumental. The city is named after Juan Ponce de León y Loaiza, the great-grandson of Spanish conquistador Juan Ponce de León. In the early 18th century, Don Antonio Abad Rodriguez Berrios built a small chapel under the name of San Antonio Abad. The area would later receive the name of San Anton, a historically important part of modern Ponce. In 1712 the village was chartered as El Poblado de Nuestra Señora de Guadalupe de Ponce. 19th century immigrants. In the early 19th century, Ponce continued to be one of dozens of hamlets that dotted the island. Its inhabitants survived by subsistence agriculture, cattle raising, and maritime contraband with foreigners. However, in the 1820s, 3 events took place that dramatically changed the size of the town forever. The first of these events was the arrival of a significant number of white francophones, fleeing the Haitian Revolution of 1791 to 1804. The effect of this mass migration was not felt significantly until the 1820s. These French Creole entrepreneurs were attracted to the area because of its large flat lands, and they came with enough capital, slaves, and commercial connections to stimulate Ponce's sugarcane production and sales. Secondly, landlords and merchants migrated from various Latin American countries. They had migrated for better conditions, as they were leaving economic decline following the revolutions and disruption of societies as nation gained independence from Spain in the 1810s–1820s. Third, the Spanish Royal Decree of Graces of 1815 attracted numerous European immigrants to Puerto Rico. It encouraged any citizen of a country politically friendly to Spain to settle in Puerto Rico as long as they converted to the Catholic faith and agreed to work in the agricultural business. With such mass migrations, not only the size of the town was changed, but the character of its population was changed as well. Europeans, including many Protestants, immigrated from a variety of nations on July 29, 1848, and as a result of this explosive growth, the Ponce hamlet was declared a villa by Queen Isabella II, and in 1877 the village obtained its city charter. Some of these immigrants made considerable fortunes in coffee, corn and sugarcane harvesting, rum production, banking and finance, the importing of industrial machinery, iron foundries and other enterprises. At the time of the American invasion of the island in 1898, Ponce was a thriving city, boasting the island's main financial center, the island's first communications link to another country, the best capitalized financial institutions, and even its own currency. It had consular offices for England, Germany, the Netherlands, and other nations. While Europe was celebrating its Belle Epoque, Ponce followed suit with its own Ponce Fair. Following trends set in Europe and elsewhere, in 1877, Don Miguel Rosuch conceived an exposition for Ponce. This was approved in 1880, and the fair was held in the city in 1882. It showed several industrial and agricultural advancements. It is important to establish a relationship between the European exhibitions that I have mentioned in the Ponce Fair, as the fair was meant as a showcase of the advancements of the day: agriculture, trade, industry, and the arts. Just as with the 1878 World's Fair in Paris, the electric grid of the city of Ponce was inaugurated on the first day of the Ponce Fair. In this occasion the Plaza Las Delicias and various other buildings, including the Mercantile Union Building, the Ponce Casino, and some of Ponce's homes were illuminated with the incandescent light bulb for the first time. Ponce in the 20th century U.S. invasion. At the time of the U.S. Ponce had the best road in Puerto Rico, running from Ponce to San Juan, which had been built by the Spaniards for military purposes. The taking of Ponce by American troops was a critical turning point in the Puerto Rican campaign. For the first time the Americans held a major port to funnel large numbers of men and quantities of war material into the island. Ponce also had underwater telegraph cable connections with Jamaica and the West Indies, putting the U.S. forces on the island in direct communication with Washington, D.C. For the first time since the beginning of the campaign, just prior to the United States occupation of the island, Ponce was a flourishing and dynamic city with a significant number of public facilities, a large number of industries and commercial firms, and a great number of exquisite residences that reflected the high standing of its bourgeoisie. On July 27, American troops, aboard the Cincinnati, Dixie, Wasp, and Gloucester, disembarked at Playa de Ponce. General Nelson Miles arrived the next day with reinforcements from Guanica and took possession of the city. There were some minor skirmishes in the city, but no major battle was fought. 3 men were killed and 13 wounded on the Spanish side, while the Americans suffered 4 wounded. The American flag was raised in the town center that same day and most of the Spanish troops retreated into the surrounding mountains. The U.S. Army then established its headquarters in Ponce. period of stagnation after the U.S. invasion. The Americans chose to centralize the administration of the island in San Juan, the capital, neglecting the South and thus starting a period of socio-economic stagnation for Ponce. This was worsened by several factors. Hurricane Santiago in 1899 had left the region in misery. The opening of sugar mills in Salinas and Guanica drew commercial and agricultural activity away from Ponce. The decadence in coffee plantations in the 1920s. The loss of the Spanish and Cuban markets. The Spanish-American War had paralyzed the trade of the island of Puerto Rico, and when Spain surrendered the sovereignty, she closed her, Spain's, ports to Puerto Rican products, while the American occupation of Cuba destroyed the only other important market. As a result, the trade in coffee and tobacco was ruined, and nothing was provided by the Americans to take their place. At least one author has also blamed the stagnation on the strife between the U.S. and the local Nationalist Party. The 20th century financial stagnation prompted residents to initiate measures to attract economic activity back into the city. Also, a solid manufacturing industry surged that still remains. Examples of this are the Ponce Cement, Puerto Rico Iron Works, Vassallo Industries, and Destilería Cereales. El Día was also founded in Ponce in 1911. Ponce Massacre on March 21, 1937. A peaceful march was organized by the Puerto Rican Nationalist Party to celebrate the 64th anniversary of the abolition of slavery and protest the incarceration of their leader, Dr. Pedro Albizu Campos, in a federal prison on charges of sedition. The march turned into a bloody event when the Insular Police, a force somewhat resembling the National Guard of the typical U.S. state and which answered to U.S.-appointed Governor Blanton Winship, opened fire upon unarmed and defenseless members of the Cadets of the Republic and bystanders. When the shooting stopped, 19 civilians had been killed or mortally wounded. Over 200 others were badly wounded. Many were shot on their backs while running away, including a 7-year-old girl named Georgina Maldonado who was killed through the back while running to a nearby church. The U.S. commissioned an independent investigation headed by Arthur Garfield Hayes, General Counsel of the American Civil Liberties Union, together with prominent citizens of Puerto Rico. They concluded in their report that the event was a massacre, with the police acting as a mob. They harshly criticized Winship's actions as governor and said he had numerous abuses of civil rights. The event has since been known as the Ponce Massacre. It was the largest massacre in Puerto Rican history. As a result of this report and other charges against Winship, he was dismissed from his position in 1937 and replaced as governor. The history of this event can be viewed at the Ponce Massacre Museum on Marina Street, an open-air park in the city. The Pedro Albizu Campos Park is dedicated to the memory of the president of the Puerto Rican Nationalist Party. As a result of this event, Ponce has been identified as the birthplace of Puerto Rican national identity. Ponce history in general is expressed at the Ponce History Museum, on the block bordered by Isabel, Mayor, Cristina, and Salad Streets in the historic downtown area. Ponce has continued to be a hub of political activity on the island, and is the founding site of several major political parties. It has also been the birthplace of several important political figures of the island, including Luis A. Ferre and Rafael Hernández Colón, both former governors of Puerto Rico, as well as the childhood town of Governor Roberto Sánchez Villela. The Maymis landslide on October 7, 1985, Ponce was the scene of a major tragedy, when at least 129 people lost their lives to a mudslide in a sector of Barrio Portugués Urbano called Maymis. International help was needed to rescue people and recover corpses. The United States and many other countries, including Mexico, France, and Venezuela, sent economic, human, and machinery relief. The Commonwealth government subsequently relocated hundreds of people to a new community built on stable ground. In 2005, the National Science and Technology Council's Subcommittee on Disaster Reduction of the United States reported that the Mamais landslide held the record for having inflicted the greatest loss of life by a single landslide up to that year. Recent history: Ponce has improved its economy in the last years. In recent years, Ponce has solidified its position as the second most important city of Puerto Rico based on its economic progress and increasing population. Today, the city of Ponce is the second largest in Puerto Rico outside of the San Juan metropolitan area. It continues to live up to its nicknames, La Perla del Sur and La Ciudad Señorial. The city is also known as La Ciudad de las Quenipas, from the abundant amount of this fruit that grows within its borders. The city is the governmental seat of the autonomous municipality of Ponce, and the regional hub for various Commonwealth entities. For example, it serves as the southern hub for the judiciary of Puerto Rico. It is also the regional center for various other Commonwealth and federal government agencies. On October 27, 1992, the municipality of Ponce became the first in Puerto Rico to obtain its autonomy under a new law enacted by the Puerto Rican legislature. Ponce's mayor for 15 years, Rafael Cordero Santiago, died in office on the morning of January 17, 2004, after suffering 3 consecutive strokes. Vice Mayor Delis Castillo Rivera de Santiago finished his term. Cordero was succeeded by Francisco Zayas Sajo. In the 2008 general elections, Maria Mayata Melende was elected mayor of the city of Ponce. The complete history of Ponce can be appreciated at the Museo de la Historia de Ponce, which opened in the city in 1992. It depicts the history of the city from its early settlement days until the end of the 20th century.